What is up, XFL fans? Big time news breaking in the league. Uniforms are finally here, guys. It's something we've been waiting for almost 2 years now since the league launched. And man, did they hit the ball out of the park. I love these uniforms. So we're here today to rank 1 through 8. Basically, all four of us, Kenny's not with us today, but he did submit his rankings. All four of us did our own rankings, and this list is a composite of all of those rankings. We were pretty similar on certain teams, but then there were teams where we could not be farther apart on. So let's get right into it. Number 8, we were all kind of in the same boat on this one, and I don't know what it is, guys. Maybe we just don't like outside the box. Maybe we just don't like different. But the Tampa Bay Vipers come in at number 8. Gless, you had them at the bottom of your list. Why, out of all of the 8 uniforms, were you the lowest on Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I think for me, the home uniforms are going to take significant amount of time for me to get used to. I'm a big helmet guy. The lime green helmet to me to go along with the green top and the green bottom with lime green lining and a lot of yellow. It's a lot. And I can't really put my finger on it, but it's just something that is so outside the box that I think eventually it'll grow on me. But the lime green helmet for me just doesn't do it for me. I thought maybe a white helmet, maybe a black helmet. There's no black in the uniform, especially the home uniform. So that one did it for me where I was just kind of like, it's going to take some time. Now, in saying that, and Pastel, I believe you are in agreement with me, and Riley, I think you're as well, but I love the away uniform whites to go along with the helmet. Still not a fan of the helmet, but the all white is actually a really good look with the white bottoms, the white tops, with the dark green accents to it. It hides the helmet a little bit, I guess you could say. So but I do like the away uniforms. The home uniforms were the ones that I was like, ugh, I don't know.
Yeah, quick side note real quick for me, right? So the guys they actually had like repping these uniforms, the home and the away uniforms that aren't actually players, you can just tell they're not very athletic. So when
oh my God,
so they're
Pastel.
in good shape. They're in good shape, right? When they put the uniforms on, I'm like, okay, the uniform looks okay. But then when I saw the actual team, like Tampa Bay released it with Aaron Murray, and I forgot the other guy's name, but when he came out with the uniform, I was like, these uniforms, they looked all right.
Yeah, because Aaron Murray is the pinnacle of an athlete.
Correct.
Hey, he's a professional quarterback.
Just get on with the damn rankings, Pastel. What do you think of the uniforms?
So what I'm trying to say, Riley, is when these athletes actually put the uniform on, it made me judge these uniforms differently. Now, that being said, I kind of concur with Glessner. Their home uniforms, not a fan. Their away uniforms were in my top 3. I love it. I think when you put the gloves on, the towels on, all these accessories when you play football, I love that when I used to play football. And that's what makes the uniform look good. I think the Vipers away uniform is going to be perfect complementary colors for all that accessories that you would put onto a uniform.
Going back to what Gless said, I think if they just incorporated a little bit of black into it, it would have made it look so much better. Whether it's a black helmet, I think that would have been pretty badass. Or just some black in the uniform, just to contrast like the different greens and the yellows. I mean, we knew, guys, going into this that the Vipers had the biggest challenge, I guess, when it came to the uniforms, just because they had such, outside of the box type of colors. And I don't think it was a complete miss. I just think that there are some things they could have done differently to make it a little bit better, but still good. So they come in at number 8. Let's go to number 7. And number 7, to me, I put them at number 7 in my personal ranking because I was so hyped for the Dallas Renegades uniforms going into this, because I've said it all along in previous shows and segments we've done. I'm obsessed with their colors. I think their colors are freaking awesome. The blue, the black with the red accent, love it. So I was expecting these uniforms to be like top 2, if not the best uniform in the league. And I was just a little underwhelmed, that's all. I like the home ones, but I'm just not digging the away whites at all. I don't think that it flows very well. The helmet is pretty cool, but just based on concepts that we saw when we did our concept jersey segment, I just think that some of those were a little bit better than what we get here. But still, I think the home jerseys are really awesome with the black and the black and blue combination.
Yeah, I actually had them 3 on my list. So I know there's 7 here, but I had them a lot higher. And the helmet had a lot to do with that. I love that Carolina blue helmet with the black and the red accent. To Riley's point, I couldn't agree more. I love the home uniforms with the all black, with the Carolina blue shoulders, with the red accent. I think it's going to be such a sharp look for the home uniforms. I didn't hate the away uniforms like you guys did, or at least speaking of Riley. I think I like the all white in contrast with the powder blue. Maybe you could have done maybe a little bit more red in there, other than the shoulders, but
I don't like how the black in the shoulders, Glass, like the black in the shoulder area with the white. I think they should have just done all white. Like, just keep the white going. I think it would have looked better than the black. It just looks clunky and weird to me with that red stripe. Just keep it white with either a blue stripe or a red stripe. I think that's where I'm kind of having some like issues with it.
Yeah, but I think if you did all white in the shoulders and you barely have any black, that would look so different from their home uniforms. Now, I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but I don't disagree with you with the shoulder patterns in general, right? So the home uniforms, it looks good because it's that Carolina blue. And then the black on the away uniforms, the black and white, I can see where you're coming from, where that may be a tad bit disappointing. But I think the helmet brings it all together, right? I don't think there was a lot they could have done in the uniforms to not make this look good due to the helmet color, right? The helmet color with the black logo on top of it, with the red accent, I think is such a sharp look.
Well, it's not that it brings it all together. It's what saves the uniform.
Oh,
right?
Stop it! No, where did you have them, Pastel? Where did you have them?
I think 6, but what saved it from being 7th or 8th was their helmet. To me, it's kind of like the Battlehawks. Not to get ahead of us, but the Battlehawks, in my opinion, had great helmets. The Dallas Renegades had great helmets. Both uniforms were subpar, in my opinion, but the helmets kind of saved it. So that's kind of why I had them a little lower in my rankings.
Their face mask, I love the black with the blue. Yeah, the helmet is freaking awesome. Love the helmet. And I like the home uniforms, but I think they could have done a little bit more. And I'm just not crazy about the aways, but still good. And it comes in at number 7 and number 6. Me personally, guys, I think it's too low. The DC Defenders, and I get it's very simplistic, not much to it. But to me, you didn't. When we talked in our concept jersey segment, we wanted them to be simplistic and we wanted it to be classic, and they freaking nailed it. This is one of my favorite helmets in the league. Just the red helmet with the white. It's just so clean. Yeah. They didn't overdo it. I like the lightning stripes in the pants. So for me, the Defenders were a little bit higher on my list than what our composite ranking shows. So I'm interested to see what you guys thought of the Defenders uniforms.
The funny thing is, I was told to submit my rankings yesterday, and I had the DC Defenders lower on my list. And then I slept about it. I slept overnight on it, and I was like, it grew on me within like 12 hours. I was like, this is a clean uniform. It's sharp looking. It's like, I don't need it to be too fancy. Every other uniform in the XFL is almost over the top. This is the one uniform that is just like, it's very simplistic, very clean, and now I like it even more. The more and more I see it, I'm like, all right, this is I like it. This is probably in my top 5 now.
To me, like, I don't think any of these uniforms were over the top. That's why I love them all. And I think that Oliver Luck was very serious when he said, and he said it over and over and over again, that they do not want to be associated with any type of gimmicks, any type of cartoonish type of, what we saw in the 2001 version of the XFL. So that's one of the things I was most pleased about with these uniforms, that I felt like none of them really went too far over the top. But for the Defenders ones, Gless, I loved these white away jerseys. They just pop, man. The white with the red, the white pants and top with the red helmet, it just pops and it flows so well.
It does. It's a great traditional football look, and that's what I loved about it. Now, they were 5 on my list, so this is a little bit lower as far as a composite, but I agree with you. And I think they may have been able to do a little bit better had they had an additional color. So for those watching and listening, the DC Defenders are based on the DC flag, right? That's why you have the 3 stars. The lightning bolt has something to do with the history of the city. But the red and white are the colors of Washington, D.C. So that's why you only see 2 colors. So for me, there's really not a whole lot more they could have done other than a really clean traditional look, which is why I really like it. That's why I really like that. I love the helmet. Glad they went with red. It really goes well with the all red uniforms. The only thing I'm not wild about is the lightning bolt on the pants.
See, I love that.
But you do. I think maybe a thinner stripe of the color, maybe with a kind of a little bit of a lightning bolt, maybe at the bottom, but not all the way. I wasn't that wild about it, but I like it. I mean, I think it's extremely solid. I wouldn't call it fantastic. I wouldn't call it not good. Like, I think it's a really solid uniform, and I think DC fans are really going to get behind it. Really, they're the only team besides the Roughnecks that are going to feature just a ton of red. So I think that makes them unique in themselves.
Yeah, I had them at number 4 in mine, and I just think, they're not in the upper tier, they're not in the lower tier, they're right there in the middle. They're solid uniforms, and I think DC fans should be pumped about how their team is going to look at Audi Field come February. So these next two are interesting because they tied in our composite rankings, but Kenny actually had one of them as his first team, his best team. So they got number 4. So let's go to number 5, and that is the New York Guardians. And I'm a little bit surprised, guys, especially Kenny, and I'll ask him about this next time we're on with him and we're talking uniforms. Kenny's been all about the Guardians color scheme, their logo, and he had them pretty low on his list. Pastel, you were really high on them. I had them, I believe, as my number 3. I love the gray away uniforms. I love that they're a little bit different than everyone else's. Pastel, why did you have the Guardians so high on your list?
So I like the fact that their logo, the gargoyle on their helmet, matches the gargoyle on their shoulder. And I think it's just such a synchronized and parallel look on their uniforms that it just works. Now, Glessner, I know you're not a big fan of the 3-color look on their shoulders. I think it works really well for the home uniform. I think their home uniforms, that was my second best uniform in this whole entire league. But just their color matching, the way they use their logos. That being said, the away uniform, I'm actually not a big fan of, Riley.
Really?
I'm not a big fan of the gray. They crushed it out of the park with the black, but the gray is just, it's not doing it for me. I don't know if they should have went white. Maybe they should have went white. But not
to me,
gray.
Pastel, like if they had white, I feel like it would look weird with the gray gargoyle logo. I feel like the gray just flows so well with the actual logo, and then the red stripes, matches the teeth and the eyes. I just love that it's a little bit different. Like, most teams, I think 2 teams had grays, these and the Roughnecks. And I just love how the gray just stays within their already existing, color scheme. And that's why I like it so much.
Yeah. It also might be for me, man, is like when I see these uniforms, I naturally try to compare it to like a college that I know, or maybe another NFL team. And this is one of those uniforms. I'm having a hard time thinking of another football team out there that has uniforms like this. So maybe it's just thinking. So you're right, they're thinking outside the box, but I think it's taking me personally some time to get used to a uniform like this, and that might be a reason why I didn't care for the gray ones as much as well.
Yeah, I like the color scheme. I like everything they did. From just how they use their colors, the black helmet. I'm actually with Riley on this one. I like the gray look. I think it looks really sharp. I like the all gray. I like the all black. This is just personal preference of mine. This isn't a shot against whoever designed the Guardians uniform. Me personally, I'm just not a fan of the 3-stripe look on the shoulders and on the pants. But I understand why they did it, because if you look at the logo, you can see their stripes going away from the Guardian face. So I think they tried to replicate that with the stripes. I'm just personally not a fan of it. Like, I don't know. To me, it just looks very... I guess I've seen college teams try to do it. I didn't really like it. I don't know. I've just never liked the look.
You had them at 7, man. This is one of the more popular ones that I've seen online.
I know. It's just stripes for me. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, the color scheme is awesome. The logo is awesome. I like how they fit it on the helmet. The back of the helmet's a tad weird. But Kevin Gilbride was on video that I saw on social media. He's like, I wanted our uniforms to represent like the grittiness of New York. And I don't know why, but those 3 stripes, they just made me think of like old school football. And that's why I really like them.
That's fair.
So those come in.
It's funny because my first thought when I saw it with the 3-stripe look was one, Ohio State possibly, but the second one was Virginia, the University of Virginia, which is known to be more of a preppy school. But it's funny that you have that opinion, Riley.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. So moving on to number 4, and I mentioned this earlier, guys. Kenny had the Roughnecks as his number 1 team. And we were kind of all over the place with our rankings. Yeah, we were kind of all over the place. I like the uniforms. The one big problem I have, and you can kind of see him here in the video, I am not liking that star on the shoulder. To me, it just looks a little cheesy. It just doesn't really fit to me. Not to say I know what they should have put there. Maybe they should have just kept it solid. But I'm just not digging that star. It looks a little cheesy, a little gimmicky to me. If they would have done without that, I would have been a little higher on them. I actually like the helmet. Gless, I know when we talked in our concept uniform segment, you were really hoping that they'd have their secondary logo on the helmet, but I think that this primary logo actually fits pretty well.
It does, and I love their helmet. I love the fact they went with silver, not with like a white or a blue. I think the silver is perfect. I love their home uniforms. I love the red with the blue. Riley, to your point, the star, I think, is symboling probably the state of Texas is my guess.
No, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
I would have liked to seen them put the secondary logo on their shoulder instead of the star.
There you go.
I think the secondary logo would have looked really, really good. The reason this came in at 5 for me, actually, is going to be the really large blue stripe that goes all the way up, or that goes all the way up to the shoulder. It just seems rather thick. Like, it looks like wallpaper to me, right? And then if you go to the away, I know that's weird to say, but if you go to the away uniforms, I'm not a massive fan of the blue pants with that same wide kind of red stripe that goes all the way up to the shoulders. I like the white with the silver look. I like the incorporation of the red, but I'm just not a huge fan of the blue pants to go with that look. It's just personal preference for me. But these will definitely have to grow on me, especially the blue pants.
Oh, Pastel, I'm looking at your rankings. You hated these. What's your problem, man?
The only reason I kind of want to like them is because it reminds me of the replacements. It's like Shane Falco out there. With
I like that. That's a great comparison. Yeah.
Other than that, dude, not a fan, man. Like, I like the colors, but they did nothing with it. I don't like the star on the side of it.
Yeah, I
not
just
a big
can't
fan
get
of the
past
stripe
that.
down. The helmets are, I guess, what I expected, but honestly, 6 out of the 8 teams, the concept uniforms that we did a segment on are pretty much similar helmets that we see right now. So it's about what I expected for the helmet, but everything else is just bland. And
no secondary logo. And I love that secondary logo. I actually think that's what sets them apart compared to a lot of other teams.
Or something.
Yeah, put that on the shoulder or incorporate that somehow. I would have liked to have seen them incorporate that secondary logo somewhere.
Yeah, so I think if Kenny didn't have them at 1, they'd be a little farther back. You know, I love their colors. I like the helmet. But I think they would have been a little farther back if Kenny hadn't had them at number 1. So next time we're on with him, we're going to have to see why he's loving these uniforms so much. But the Roughnecks come in at number 4. Let's move to number 3. And I know the biggest thing here with the St. Louis Battlehawks is everybody's really loving these helmets. Is that why you guys had the Battlehawks so high?
I actually had them 2 on my list, more than likely because of the helmet. I love the wings and then the sword going right down the middle of the helmet as the stripe. I think it's such a badass look. I actually love the color scheme as well. I love that bluish purple with the silver pants, and then I like the white with the blue bottoms. But I think what you may see is that white top with the silver pants as well on the away uniforms. I was a huge fan. They were actually 2 on my list. I thought just everything about it, I think, is unique, and I think it sets them apart from other teams because of their color scheme and their helmet. And I thought they hit a home run with their helmet.
It's interesting, Bless. You bring up a good point, and it was mentioned on social media by some of the teams, like, you're seeing these, home concepts, away concepts, but you can interchange the tops and the bottoms, so you can have all of these different looks. So that's just an interesting point that you bring up. Pastel, what did you think of these Battlehawk uniforms?
I don't know what's unique about it, Kless. I mean, please elaborate. I mean, okay, no.
I love it.
The helmets, we all are in agreement. That might be the best looking helmet outside, probably the Dragons.
They listened to us, didn't they? We talked about it in our concept jerseys, our concept uniform segment, to make the wings kind of like the Eagles have. And the reason we didn't like the concept helmet in the first one is the sword was pointing down and it continued through the jersey, like the guy was getting stabbed through the head. This is kind of, it does the same thing, but it's executed much better. So I think that's why we love them. Yeah.
Riley, you know why Pastel doesn't like it, why he doesn't think it's special?
Why?
Is because they kind of sort of look like the Baltimore Ravens, and Pastel's a Bengals fan. That's why. Now we get to the bottom of it.
No, that's exactly. All right, maybe a little bit.
I love the white jerseys. I love the white uniforms. I think that those are some of my favorite in the whole league. I just like how they play off of the helmet. The good contrast with the white and then the blue helmet with the wings, I think looks really sharp.
This is one of those uniforms I almost wish they went with the color rush type of uniform and just either went with all blue or all white, but not the mismatch. I mean, I love the helmets. Maybe this is just me. It sounds like it is just me at this point. But this to me just kind of is just another uniform.
Well, I think you're going to see that, though. I think you'll see the all white and then the all purple, in different games, right? I mean, it looks like with the stripes.
I don't know why you keep saying purple, Gless. These are like as blue can be. I think we need to get your eyes checked, man.
Yeah, maybe.
They're like
purplish.
There's no purple in there.
Blue.
Pastel, are you seeing any purple?
No, it's pretty blue, man.
I'm growing pretty concerned, Gless.
All right, well, guess I got it. Don't listen to my film talk later. I guess I don't know what I'm looking at.
Right. So they come in at number 3, the Battlehawks. These last two guys, oh my God. So they were the last two to announce. And I freaking love both of these uniforms. So we're down to LA and Seattle. And to me, they could have been tossed up either way. But for the composite ranking purposes, LA comes in at number 2. Our wish has come true. They did the black uniforms with the black helmet, and it is freaking badass. I knew that, people crapped all over the name. They crapped on the logo, and we said it. If they execute these uniforms right, they could be some of the best in the league, and I think they nailed it.
It actually reminds me of a little bit of the old XFL uniforms, which was, in my opinion, this was the only uniform that actually maybe was a sibling or a cousin of the old XFL uniforms, especially the black. That's what I loved about it. I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. This is edgy. This is pushing it. The all black with the red stripe and the helmets are amazing, man. The black look with the
claw marks,
the red claw marks with the gold face mask. I think it's such a sharp look. I was such a big fan of the home uniforms.
So this is where I humbled myself. I'm not a big Luis Perez fan. I wasn't a big Wildcat name fan. And I kept telling myself during the concept uniforms, like, this is the worst concept uniforms. And then last night I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, Brandon, don't let this get to you, but these are probably the best uniforms.
He has converted.
So the reason they're not number 1 in my rankings is I don't think the home and the away are the best.
I agree with that.
I think their home might be the best uniform, but their away is probably like 5 or 6. Like, they're okay to me. They're cool. There's nothing wrong with them. I think it's different. It's white. You got the orange and the red in there. And it's a good look. But their home uniforms are sick, man. That's exactly what we wanted, and they freaking answered it.
Yeah. Look at these helmets. These helmets are freaking awesome. The burnt orange face mask. Oh yeah, and the claw marks. See, like, in their graphics, I think the claw marks are actually really cheesy, but on the uniform, they did really well with them.
Oh, the transition, I love it, man, on the pants.
So LA comes in at number 2, so that only leaves 1. When these came out, I know Gless was super psyched Number 1,
I was.
the Seattle Dragons. These are awesome.
They are, and it was such a home run with the mix of all the colors. I know Pastel is going to say which uniform he likes the best out of the two. I love the home uniforms. I think the home uniforms with the blue base, with the green accent, and then just the way they mixed in the orange, and then the white helmet brings it all together. I think it's such a sharp look. I love how they did the logo on the helmet where it comes up around the ear and comes over top. I don't know. I thought it was a home run. In my opinion, it was the best uniform they released all night. And I'm actually hoping that on the away uniforms that they may throw some of those blue pants in there just to kind of change some things up. Because I like the away uniforms. They just look a little Miami Hurricanes to me. That's all.
Which is so tight, man. Everyone remembers the 2001 Hurricanes with Sean Taylor. He's got his oil visor, which I hope they get the oil visors on this uniform. I got to give Kenny Keller a shout out. He was the first one to say this is like the Miami Hurricanes uniform. And because he made that comment, I started thinking more about this uniform. I was like, these uniforms, one, it reminds me of that too. They're sick, man. Like, I love it, man. It's kind of like, in my opinion, the Vipers, their away uniform, it's not overly doing it on the color scheme. So it's just good amount of orange, good amount of green, and then you get the whites complement everything. And that's why I think they crushed it, man.
Yeah, because other than the Vipers pastel, these were like the most vibrant out there colors, and they did so well balancing it. That's why I love the blue on the home. They didn't like have this crazy orange all over the place. They used this as an accent. So the three of us had the Dragons number 1, I believe, and Kenny had them number 3. But I think for the three of us, what separated them from the Wildcats is that overall their combination of home and away were better than the Wildcats home and away. I may like the Wildcats home jerseys the best, maybe, but man, I freaking love these blue jerseys with the orange accents and the white helmet. Well done, Seattle. Well done. These are freaking awesome.
I know I said it earlier, but out of all the helmets, this one I thought was the most unique, right? I would say between this one and the Renegades, probably my two favorite helmets, but I love how the logo comes all the way from the ear up right to the side of the helmet. I don't think you see that a whole lot, so I think it's unique. No. But the way they make it blend with the uniform, with the fire coming out of the drag mat, it's all kind of the same patterns. I don't know. I thought the helmet really brought everything together.
Well, just the logo of the dragon too, it fits so well with the shape of the helmet. And I've been I've had my opinions about the name for the Seattle franchise. I'm not huge on dragons, but they killed it with these uniforms. So. The Dragons come in at number 1. So there's our list, guys. I think, overall, we did pretty well. I think we disagree a little bit on certain ones, but I think at the top, for the most part, we all agree, except for Kenny had the Roughnecks.
Kenny should not be asked about fashion advice, okay?
Boom.
So, yeah, next time we roll out the green carpet and starts judging football players on their fashion, let's not ask Kenny. We're the only ones that actually have taste when it comes to this. Hence why all of us have similar rankings, and Kenny is saying that the Dragons are the number 3, number 4.
Sorry, the guy wearing the XFL Chalk Talk trucker hat.
Hey, trucker hats are back in, man. Watch.
I know. I got me a Defenders one that's in the mail right now.
Everyone thought fanny packs were out, and what happened these last few years?
I think they're still out, man. I think those are still out.
Man, I can't wait till Kenny hears this episode. I can't wait till Kenny hears this episode. Just getting trashed on air.
Next time we do a full show, we'll dive into these a little bit more with Kenny. But we wanted to just jump on and do a composite ranking. Overall, guys, before we jump off, I mean, I think overall the XFL did really well. The feedback that we saw on social media and, on television, Fox, ESPN, from what I've seen, it's been very overwhelmingly positive in the feedback from fans. So I think the XFL did very well with the uniforms.
Yep.
Agreed.
All right, so there you go, guys. Let us know in the comments, where did your favorite team rank? Did you like how they came out with their uniforms? So hit us up at XFL Chalk Talk on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And check us out at xflchalktalk.com. What's up, football fans? Visit xflchalktalk.com to get the latest analysis, discussions, interviews, and news from around the league. You can also sign up for our email list so you can receive notifications on when content is posted focused on your favorite XFL team.